Coming up, annexation of southern and eastern Ukraine. Russia, amid an ongoing invasion, declared its annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions, which include Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. What does it mean for Ukraine and NATO? Will Russia use nuclear weapons? Putin warned the West he was not bluffing when he said he will be ready to use nuclear weapons to defend Russia. Some analysts say Putin is bluffing, but Washington is taking Putin seriously. Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. Major leaks that suddenly erupted in the Nord Stream gas pipeline that ran from Russia to Europe under the Baltic Sea have generated plenty of theories but few clear answers about who or what caused the damage. Europe failed its first winter energy saving test. As the first autumn cold snap hit the continent, German households and small firms, commonly known as the private sectors, increased their gas demand 14.5% above the 5 years average. Credit Suisse critical. The chief executive officer of Credit Suisse Group said the bank is at a critical moment as it prepares for its latest overhaul while stressing the bank's strength. Why is the US dollar so strong right now? The dollar has strengthened dramatically over the course of the year as the Federal Reserve hikes interest rates in an effort to beat sky-high inflation. Welcome to the weekly review. My name is Gio. On this channel, we analyze the latest macroeconomic news in the world. If you like the content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Without any further ado, let's jump right into the first topic, which is the annexation of the fourth region of Ukraine. Amid an ongoing invasion, Russia declared its annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions, which include Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. The 4 annexed regions make up around 15% of Ukrainian's territory. None were fully under Russian control at the time. It created a land connection between Russian mainland and Crimea and cut off Ukraine from the Sea of Azov. The annexation took place after internationally unrecognized referendums held days prior, which were organized by Russian occupation authorities in the territory where hostilities were ongoing. It occurred 7 months after the start of the invasion and less than a month after the start of the Ukrainian counteroffensive. By annexing the eastern region as well as Zaporizhzhia and Kherson in the south, he will be able to send newly mobilized troops to the front line that Moscow says it's more than 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles long. But he can also threaten the West if it continues to arm Ukraine with the weapons used against what he has labeled Russian territory. The annexation is unrecognized by international community. Ukraine, the European Union, the United States, and the United Nations all said that the referendum and the annexation had no legal basis or effect. President Volodymyr Zelensky has hit back at the Russians' annexation moves by seeking accelerated membership of NATO. That is a big change from the start of the war. He has also made clear that Ukraine cannot and will not put up with any attempts by Russia to seize any part of our land. How dangerous is this moment, and will Russia use nuclear weapons? Nobody really knows what is now in a Russian leader's mindset. But his threat for the West has reached a new level. Clearly, he wants the West to understand that Moscow views attack on an occupied region of Ukraine as attack on Russia itself. Russia's nuclear doctrine allows for a nuclear strike after an aggression against the Russian Federation with conventional weapons when the very existence of the state is threatened. As if Putin was moving toward a nuclear attack, CIA Director William Burns told CBC, "We have to take very seriously his kind of threats given everything that's at stake." Burns said US intelligence had no practical evidence that Putin was moving towards using tactical nuclear weapons in the near future. As the dominant global superpower, the United States would in effect decide the response to any Russian nuclear strike. US President Joe Biden's option will include a non-military response, responding with another nuclear strike that will risk escalation, and responding with a conventional attack that could involve Washington in a direct war with Moscow. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Washington had warned Moscow of specific catastrophic consequences if it used nuclear arms. Let's move to the next topic, which is the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. Whatever caused the damage to the Nord Stream gas pipeline in the Baltic Sea, it appears to be first major attack on critical underwater infrastructure in Europe. It is pretty evident that the explosion that led to major leaks in the two pipelines were not caused by accidents. The alliance says they were a deliberate act of sabotage. The attack occurred in the exclusive economic zone of Denmark and Sweden and demonstrate the risk that Europe's subsea infrastructures are facing. This raised the question of the vulnerability of European pipelines, electricity and internet cables, and other maritime infrastructure. Europe will have to revisit its policies for protecting them. Suspicions have been rising in Western capitals that the explosion on the pipelines were attacks carried out by Russia as a means of intensifying pressure in Western governments over energy suppliers. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has dismissed any such claims. The subsea is an ocean space that is often forgotten, yet increasingly vital. Pipelines ensure the flow of gas and oil, electricity cables across Europe and are vital to the green energy revolution. Underwater cables transport 95% of data and ensure digital connectivity. Yet, Europe has not policy to provide surveillance and protection of this underwater infrastructure. Europe is effectively subsea blind. Despite the disruption of the gas through Nord Stream Pipeline 1 and 2, Europe failed its first winter energy-saving test. Even with the strong imports of liquefied natural gas to replace Russian gas, Europe needs to reduce gas consumption by a lot in order to make it through the winter. Extra supply won't be enough. The exact amount is different from country to country, but on average, the European Commission has suggested a 10 to 15% demand reduction. Germany and a few other countries, which in the past relies on Russian gas significantly, need to cut consumption even more by at least 20%. Until now, we didn't know how households would react, although the assumption was that public information about the need to save energy and higher retail prices would discourage consumption. But as the first autumn cold hit the continent, German households and small firms, commonly known as the private sectors, increased their gas demand 14.5% above the 5 years average. Klaus Müller, the German official in charge of monitoring the gas network, called the figures sobering. All these things are showing that the European citizens are not prepared for the ongoing energy crisis in Europe. And if the energy crisis isn't enough for this critical moment, Credit Suisse is in a pretty big trouble right now. For those who don't know, Credit Suisse Group, it's a global investment bank and financial service firm founded and based in Switzerland. The chief executive officer said the bank is at a critical moment as it prepared for its latest overhaul while stressing the bank's strength. Corner, who was named CEO in late July, has had to deal with market speculation, bankers' exit, and capital debt as he seeks to set a path forward for the troubled Swiss bank. Credit Suisse market capitalization dropped to around 10 billion Swiss francs, meaning any share sale will be highly dilutive to long-time holders. Last week, Credit Suisse said it's working on possible asset and business sales as part of its strategic plan, which will be unveiled at the end of October. Despite all the challenges in the major economies, the US dollar is getting stronger day by day. Nearly every asset class has seen miserable return in 2022 except for the US dollar. The dollar strength is even more pronounced when compared to the poor performance of stock, bonds, real estate, and cryptocurrencies. And that's before considering the impact of inflation. Moreover, a strong dollar benefits American consumers who buy foreign goods. The US dollar is strengthening because the Fed adopted an aggressive monetary policies in response to skyrocketing inflation. It lifted the federal funds rate from near zero at the beginning of 2022 to a range of 3% and 3.25% at the September meeting. But the strong dollar isn't just about the Fed. While the US economy may be dealing with a recession, it's still looking much better than other advanced economies, including the United Kingdom, European nations, and Japan. The geopolitical instability in Europe, zero-COVID policy, and the real estate bubble in China have driven investors to safe haven investments, and the US dollar is currently one of the safest bets around. When global investors pour money into US dollar, they are selling off other currencies. Buying dollar push up the value of it, and selling other currencies weaken their value. American consumers are clear beneficiaries of the trend. Any import goods or services purchased in euros, pound, or yen is now significantly cheaper than a year ago. American exports, though, aren't happy. The dollar is the strongest in 2 decades against the euro, putting American manufacturers at a pricing disadvantage against many foreign competitors. The Chinese yuan has depreciated sharply since early 2022, as well as the tech industry correction, restrictions on movement, and housing correction weighed on its economy. If you have any other opinion or thoughts about what's going on in the global economy and in the world in general, please don't hesitate to share them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you find this content helpful, smash that like and subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video, and see you in the next video. Stay safe.